Okay, the good thing about the session is that I don't have to give opening remarks because I've already given a long one. No, delighted. I think I probably have the unique distinction of also being the keynote and also the session chair for this session. But glad to see all of you. A trifle disappointed that there were two folks who were supposed to come. I would have loved to have them, Dr. Ashok Pandey and Dr. I think Mukherjee, if I'm not mistaken. I think one is representing higher education, one is representing school education, and that would have been good. It would have completed the, and I would have loved to have a government, body also here, but that's fine. I think we know what the context is. We're really going to discuss AI and its context in education. And I've been wondering where to start this session from, but I'm just going to straight away probably start with you, Himanshu. PwC, Ernst & Young, KPMG, all you folks do a lot of work in analyzing what's happening around the country. And you get a fair idea of the trends that are getting picked up across various sectors. AI in education. Now, the first thought that comes to me is, I think it's come very slow compared to the other sectors. I think aviation, retail, FMCG, they've all gone far ahead at a faster pace. And somewhere I get the feeling that we've somewhere kind of lost the pace or missed the bus, as we call it. Am I exaggerating here, or do you think that we are in the right pace? Is AI making its entry in the right time in education? What's your view on the overall landscape here? Take this.
Thanks, Manish. So AI, you rightly touched upon few of the sectors, Manish. So if we just understand the background. So AI, let's say in financial services, AI, let's say in manufacturing, on the shop floor, or AI, let's say in a retail consumer sectors. All of these are really used today to an extent that, the customer interactions, the supplier interactions, the vendor interactions, all of that are happening are completely AI enabled. On education, one of the things which has been quite propelled from the COVID time, and you touched upon in your speech as well, is the personalized learning, for the student, and that whole interaction with the educator is something which has been kind of gained a shift from the technology implementation perspective. So definitely it has taken a huge leap from there on. In order to run any AI use case, you need quality data. I'll just go to a very basic stuff. And that quality of data collection process from various systems is something which is right now in a very nascent stage, whether it comes to a school education system or a higher education system, or even the integrated platform, which is right now in conceptualized stage with the Ministry of Education. Silver lining, yes, initiatives are already on. One of the initiatives, if I just quote here, is NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. They are using AI, they are using tech platform immensely. And the recent launch app is a SIDH. So it is an AI-enabled platform for the students. You guys can go through it and you can figure out some of the AI use cases embedded into SIDH application by NSDC. So there are some silver linings, I would say, but ultimately it's about the data, underlying data, which is right now is still both structured and unstructured data, which is right now not completely available to take the right amount of AI use case execution. So I'll just pause here, but that's my viewpoint.
Okay, no, that's a pretty good opening statement. So that leads me to really understand. You talked about the fact that about how data collection is leading to a lot of these AI engines, and I'm therefore tempted to straight away go to Paramdeep. The reason I honestly I wanted to actually talk to Nirupam first, but then the reason I'm coming to you I think your company also does pretty much a lot of collection of data. There's a lot of AI engines that work on it. You're fairly entrenched in the space. Having said that, I noticed that you are pretty much partnered with multiple sectors. You're partnered with real estate, you're partnered with fintech, you're partnered with health. I don't see education. Now, is that by choice? Is that something that you just don't do it because you didn't get a chance to get into it? Because education is, if you talk about data and what data can help within the AI framework, what better data than the kind of cohort that you're talking about? So just trying to get a sense of why you didn't do it.
Sure. No, we do work with the education sector as well. So in fact, I run an education company from 2008 till 18. For 10 years, I ran a company called Edu. And though what you're saying is true, maybe formally, as in terms of workflows, etc., AI hasn't seeped too much into the education sector. But we are working on multiple use cases within the edtech sector. So I'll give you a few simpler examples. For example, for my son, these days I have completely changed my way of education. So initially we would like go through books and then try to solve some examples and so on. Now, again, depending on the subject that you're looking at, I feel AI is just there. So for example, if you speak about languages, if you speak about English, French, if you speak about social studies, right? So these subjects are completely being taken over by generative AI now. So it makes life easy to help it formulate questions so that it can test your knowledge. And whatever has been in existence for a while now, so for example, you want to read a book by Shakespeare, initially it was so difficult to understand that book, it has become so easy. You just feed it with the chapters, get it to sort of prompt you with questions and sort of stuff there. But that's more on the personal use case. But from business perspective, again, especially with agentic AI, so we are working on a very ambitious use case. So for example, when I was running Edu, we had almost like 2,000 faculty members who were all experts. So people working in the industry who would come and then take sessions. And we would take almost maybe 300 sessions a weekend. So that means almost like 150, 200 sessions on a single day. So, and we had a large team that would call these people depending on their expertise, location, etc., and then try to set up the classes. And we are working on a use case where agentic AI is completely automating this process. So that means you get access to quality faculty and virtually nil human interaction. So the agent just goes, tries to fix a session. If the person responds, the class is accepted by that person, the calendars are updated. If not, it will go to the next best option and then try to sort of set up the next classroom and so on. So that one use case. And again, I think most of the industry is the core use case, and then there are sort of periphery use cases. So the periphery use cases, I feel AI has definitely sort of started making an impact. So personalization, obviously, as Himanshu said, it will take some time for data to get collected, and then sort of the hyper-personalization of content to start at a consumer level, as in at an individual student level. But I think overall revolution is not just one core piece; it is a lot of other periphery pieces as well.
No, I agree, and therefore, Mridul, Mridu, we are not going sequentially, so it's now. I'm moving to your Manish, right? Your Manish. Yeah, sorry, which company are you from? Oh, okay, got it. No. So you also did some work with education, if I'm not mistaken. You're an edtech. So I actually, okay, Mridu, then I think I'll come to you because I got a little, the word personalized learning is what I want to pick up, Mridu. Everybody today gives this word. It's a magic word, right? Personalized learning. We'll organize the future of learning, personalized learning. And your genius mentor, I think, does this direct links with children. Do you see AI actually helping in this process? Number one. Number two, are you challenged by the fact that because India is so diverse, you're not able to really drive this beyond a certain periphery of your target audience? Maybe you can't go beyond the metros. Do you see that if you were to reach out to drive your product or what you're trying to offer to a child sitting in the interiors of, let's say, Assam, would that be possible? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so, before I answer about personalized learning, I would want to, make understand everyone why AI is needed in education. Like you mentioned, it started late. It did started late. And we need to understand, what best AI can do in education. So to, understand that, we need to understand what are the basic flaws that we have in our current education system. Why, where we can implement personalized learning or use AI as a whole. So if you see, currently our education system, like you mentioned, it's in ICU. Very true. We are, mainly focusing on rote memorization concepts in our classrooms. We are focusing on pure theoretical based knowledge, no practical implication. And one size fit all education is something that has, been put onto us from many years. It's like, there are 30 students in a class or 50 students in a class, one teacher will come and will go. We are not making our students knowledgeable. We are not uplifting education. We are not uplifting, the teachers are not, pushing the boundaries and, making an effort to make the education practical. That is one flaw. Now, where AI can fit? AI and technology is the only tool that has the capability to make education personalized. So what we are doing in our company with deep learning and knowledge graph algorithms, we have created topics and subtopics. So based on every student's strength and weakness. So for example, Rita is a student, she has like some strength and weakness. Shikha is a student, she has a different strength and weaknesses. A teacher will never understand that. Teacher will never know why a student has scored 15 marks out of 20, what is the weak link. The tool can gauge that weak link, and our knowledge graph and deep learning algorithm has prepared subtopics out of that topic. Now it understands, this is the weak link of the student, and these are the subtopics that the student needs to learn before it moves to the main topic. That is what we do with personalized learning. And why do we need to do that, on a first hand? Because the whole goal of education should be to make students knowledgeable, not just, insert and, force them for rote memorization and push them to pass a class and give a report card to the parents which they can boost to their neighbors or relatives. That needs to be stopped, that needs to change, that needs to be updated. And that is where, I think AI can make an impact. And second impact that, AI should make is we should make education more skill-driven, not theoretical based. And I would like to disagree with you on one area where you mentioned that,
That's why the mic is stopped.
but still I would carry on. Yeah, so, I would like to disagree on one area where you mentioned, AI is to make teachers' life easy. No, I think it should not. It should push the teachers, to have some creative lessons, to have, something creative education in the schools. And the schools which are charging, lakhs of money from parents, they should also, try to make education more practical. I think now the education should be more workshop-based. AI will take care of the lectures. It will take the quizzes. It will take the assessment. And it will, act as a mentor also. The teacher has to push the boundaries and think how they can make more practical lessons in the class. That is what I think we should do.
Okay, fair enough. But I must disagree. I didn't say AI makes life of teacher easy. I said AI empowers teachers and gets the teacher to move into a different way of teaching. What I said is that AI helps the teacher now become a guide on the side rather than and encourage the students. So certainly it doesn't. I've always maintained this. A teacher's life can never get easy. Right?
The torchbearers of, education of knowledge, they should not be easy.
Correct. So that brings me to you, Nirupam. I mean, since you, I think, frankly, in this audience, you run schools. The group runs schools. You've been around for the last 20 years. You've seen this all happening. Simple question, do you agree with Mridu? And I hope you don't, so that we can have an interesting debate.
I have a very interesting view on this. So she said, the purpose of education is to make students knowledgeable. So I will tweak it a bit. I will say the purpose of education is to make a student successful in his life. Okay, now what is the definition of success? That's each student has his own definition. One could say, I want to become a billionaire. That's my definition of success. One would say, I want to explore the world and interact with different types of people. That could be his definition of success. I want to be a wanderer. One will say, I want to go on a spiritual journey and attain oneness with God. Again, his definition of success. So what is one's definition of success is individual based, And the purpose of education essentially is to help that person on that path. Again, education cannot guarantee success. Nobody can. Okay. The purpose of education is to help show that path to that person that this is the route where you may have a possibility of becoming successful. What is the purpose of AI? AI is an augmentation tool. Okay, augmentation tool for the human being. It could be teacher, it could be student. Okay, how that student or teacher can use that AI tool to achieve success is the benchmark. Now there's no one AI tool. There are different types of AI tools. So you may say, I want to write an essay. I want to write you a very nice email, let me say. And can AI help me write that nice email because I may be bad in grammar? Okay. So I write some broken English and I give it to AI. Please polish it nicely. And I think there are hundreds of tools now. Gmail does it. Every tool does that. And gives me back a mail. I see it. I like it. I send it to you. Like it. I am successful. So AI helps me in augmenting that. Now, going back to his question and your point again is, does that make me better person? Of course, it makes me successful, but does it make me? So there's the question. There the teacher question comes in. So teacher is the mentor or guide is not eliminated by AI. Teacher is the guy who will tell you which AI tool, how much you should use, leverage, and not abuse the tool. Because if I start depending too much on that tool, then I may actually not develop my own capability. And then whatever broken English I am writing will also go down. So my objective is to improve my English using that tool, not to leave everything to that tool. And again, with the whole objective of becoming successful in life. So that's where the whole goal is.
No, so then let me ask you a straight question.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned AI and tool, obviously I can't leave ChatGPT out of this, right? So there's this big debate on whether a child can use ChatGPT for homework. What's your take on it? Yes, no?
So we are in a transition phase. Okay, so in future, let's say 10 years down the line, if we ask this question, what would be the answer? The answer would be by default, yes. Okay. Right now, we are in the phase where we are saying, so it's the same question like, should we allow child use calculator? Okay, because the moment you start doing more calculations by calculator, you will reduce your brain bandwidth to do mental calculations, right? So today, how many people will say, no, we should not allow child to use calculator? Very few. Unless people want to do yoga, Vedic maths and all that stuff. Otherwise, people say, please use calculator and do it. Same thing will happen in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is another type of calculator. Okay, not exactly, but it will be that. So everybody would have, and I mean, again, calculator is a crude example, but going forward, we will have agentic AI. We will not even have to need to say anything, we will say and the agentic AI will pick up the stuff and do it for us and we will have the result outcomes. So we will have a very different level of AI going forward. So the question of whether ChatGPT should be used by students is actually moot.
Got it. No, therefore, to you, Manish, since you have been part of multiple industries, you're an edtech person, you've been working with technology. And you have got it applied to multiple industries. You, I think, were involved with Pearson, if I'm not wrong, for a while.
Yes.
But you decided to jump out of the education and get back to the... My question to you, since you've seen these different industries, one thing that differentiates education from the rest of the sectors is that in education, the consumer or the customer is a child in some form. So while you drive all these changes, bring in AI, bring in efficiency, bring in processes, you are somewhere also at risk of compromising a very important part of how you work with this consumer, which is the EQ part. The EQ, the emotional quotient. Because, and that's what is happening today. Today, if you look at the education industry, patient capital started to come in. Private equity started to come in. There are a lot of transactions happening in the education space. Now, there is a debate that is starting to brew here. Corporatization of education, chains coming up, corporate headquarters is coming up, vis-a-vis a standalone, good, proper, old-fashioned school, which has got someone who's founded it 60 years back, who's a principal, as someone who's been across these industries, what's your take on this little change that is happening? Do you think it makes sense to go down this path the way it is going? Do you think we should pause it, bring in a certain amount of human element? Because you are all there to try and make it easier through your tech innovation.
Sure.
How much do you think we should innovate in the school space?
Sure. I think, first of all, I'll start with the very first point which you made in your presentation earlier, is that you said our education system is in ICU, right?
Shit, all of you noticed that, is it? I thought no one will.
No.
Don't quote me.
I did notice, and I truly believe that. Definitely our system needs a lot of rehauling. And how this rehauling is going to happen, that's the question. And that's where the whole education pedagogy needs to change. How we are currently teaching our students, that needs to change predominantly from the base. And how this will happen, I mean, we really need to make the best use of the technology. With that, having said that, just taking an example, which just, you just shared, Nirupam, that calculator. It's giving a calculator at the right age is important. And they first need to get to the basics right, and when they get to the next level, they have been given this. When I see my daughters, they use AI extensively. There's a PhotoMath app. They just put the image of their whole equation. It all comes into their phone with the step-by-step how it solves it, right? So it is enhancing the knowledge. It is enhancing the knowledge. It's clarifying the doubts. It is like teacher or that help on the go all the time. Not every student has their own pace of learning. I mean, if you look at 5 of us, we would have been great at some age, then we would have cashed up something, we would have gone doing something better in some different subjects. We had our own way. This gives a liberty and a more control to the students as well, to learn additionally from what the teachers are teaching. So we have to accept that we are the world's largest populous country. That's the core of it. When we have to take care of 125 billion people, it's huge. And we know our classes are like, full with 60 students, 50 students. It's very difficult for teachers to give that kind of a focus. It's practically impossible. So it's not that, anyone is at the fault at the moment. But how can we grow as a country, probably, is with the help of AI and technology. So I would just say that run these tools, take the best out of it, and go. My daughters are using AI, every off the bit AI, in many ways. They're learning the whole history about India. It coming so handy for them to prepare their presentations, their discussions. Like about a month back, I was at the IIM Sambalpur, and we just adopted AI for the case discussions, right? Very fantastic product, breakout learning. And how this whole, textbooks-based learning to more knowledge-based interaction, which is, coming to the question of success. Ultimately, that success criteria is going to come through the knowledge, and the knowledge getting delivered and discussed among us. So I think we are actually at the right time to take on this and have a shift in our education system. Yeah. I don't know whether the answer was too long or.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We have time. Except that the
you.
only issue I have with you is that you said if you study the 5 of us, there are 6 of us. I'm not an AI bot. I mean, I'm also part of the same tribe. No, but I want to just ask Mridu, going by what Manish just said, tell me, and going by what you said, rote learning should not be there and knowledge, etc. Let's take a scenario going forward. Let's imagine the future of schools. What if we have physical brick and mortar schools that will take care of children till the grade 6? And then post grade 6 or grade 7, we don't need schools, because knowledge is there everywhere. Digitization is now already gotten. You can use your tablet and start learning. Going by, you can take a Genius Mentor subscription and start learning. So maybe have schools only for the children who are from pre-KG to, let's say, 6th or 7th grade, because that's an important phase of your life. And then, uske baad, let's not have any 7th, 8th, 9th, or 8th, 9th, and whatever. Let's not have any These are case studies. Huh? I'm not saying this. And tomorrow don't go and say that this is what I recommended. I'm just giving you a scenario. Do you think this is a good way of going forward?
Yes, so I would say, going forward, I would like to call, schools as learning centers. What I mean is, after 7th grade, like you mentioned, there should be more like, workshop based kind of a thing. So, more practical aspect of it where, if someone is learning, something about technical, it should have a whole machinery kind of a demonstration kind of a workshop. If someone is learning biology, there should be more like, stuff around biology or other stuff like that. Currently, what is happening, it's a bookish knowledge. In the future, I think there should be more learning centers where practically you're demonstrating, you're giving examples, and you're teaching, whatever you have theoretically learned, this is a practical implication of it. There should be more, AI tool-based kind of a skill-driven kind of an education where the teacher, or you call it mentor, is just mentoring, how practically well the student is aware about its knowledge. Because where I see education is going, the only limitation that we have as humans is time. And what AI can give us back is time. So what I am seeing, what we have been able to do at the age of 30 or 35, our students with AI should be able to do that 14 or 15 years of age. So a 7th class student should be well equipped to have a base knowledge, how the app is created, but practically, he should be able to create that app by the time, he reach 8th or 9th standard. That is where I look, AI should help us.
Wow. Okay. Paramdeep, do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to imagine what 5 years down the line.
You are best equipped because you're running an edtech and you also run a school.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm saying it's very, very. Yeah, please go ahead. I think it's very, very difficult to imagine what the future classroom would look like. So, as most people I think would agree, it's practically impossible to get rid of ChatGPT now. It has entered, and students will use it. So it's best to embrace it and then sort of move forward rather than trying to fight it. So that means obviously the system of rote learning has to change, because now the biggest rote learner has arrived. So that means if you were just sort of rote learning and then spitting it out, unfortunately that part is gone. I would say even basic reasoning logic, it's able to do very well. So I would say even that part would be taken care of by machines. So obviously education is going to change. It could be a skill that that is required. I don't know. So I think I don't know. So in most of the Western countries, I think post the 8th class, there is an opportunity to either pursue higher education or go for a skill. Each country would have its own sort of cultural nuance as well. I don't think India is going to adopt to a skill-based economy very soon. But definitely there's going to be a change. I can't really imagine what 5 years or 10 years down the line would look like. But definitely the way we teach students and the way they learn, it has to change. And the content itself has to change, because rote learning is just not going to be sufficient.
So before I come to you, Himanshu, I saw you, Nirupam, shaking your head vigorously saying that nay, schools will be there. So I'm very tempted to quickly get to
I never said the schools will not be there.
Mridu said that. she kind of reached to that, alluded to that.
I personally think schools obviously serve another purpose of babysitting. So
that's what I said. So up to 6th grade, let's assume that it's a K to 12.
No, so
would we have
so
11th grader
the
go to school?
hormones level, I think they are the highest between 6
And we'll come to you, sir,
12.
a little later. We'll just finish the thoughts here.
So hormones level, I think, are the highest between 6 to 12. That's when I think you need somebody to take care of the children. And if it's not the parent, somebody has to step forward. I think schools play that role as well.
So let's take the example of Coursera, since the topic is of education, right? So Coursera has virtually all courses on all topics, right? What's the percentage of courses that get completed You know, so that's where the challenge lies. So so education is as much a social construct than a personal skill development construct. So a lot of things happen because we see somebody else doing it in the classroom. A lot of things are competitive. I see, okay, that person excelling, I also want to excel. There's a lot of control phenomenon. If there's teacher standing and students behave differently, if there's no teacher, students behave very differently. So, a lot of stuff is, in education itself is social construct. And social pressure, peer pressure, competition, and of course mentoring. So all these require some level of physical adjacency. You cannot have, it could also be maybe someday work with the digital adjacency, but again goes back to the social construct. So you need a social construct. You cannot divide education from a social construct, and hence whether it's a physical social or a virtual social construct, you need that social construct, and that's required.
Right, and that's where I would love to come to you, Himanshu, because you're best